For years, I've had female patients come to me saying, Dr. Manon, I'm bloated, I can't sleep, I'm anxious, and this belly fat appeared out of nowhere, even though I haven't changed anything. And you know what I always find? It's not just that estrogen dropped at menopause. That's the obvious one. It's the balance between estrogen and progesterone that has completely shifted that is causing that problem when they're out of sync. It doesn't matter how clean you eat, how hard you train, your body holds on to the weight, disrupts your sleep, and ages you faster than it should. Now, if you've been following this series, you've seen the pattern. In episode 1, we covered the insulin-leptin loop, how insulin spikes drive fat storage and block your fullness signal, so you always feel hungry. In episode 2, the cortisol-ghrelin loop talked about how stress wrecks your sleep and drives those late-night cravings. In episode 3, we covered testosterone and adiponectin, why you're losing muscle and can't burn fat. And in our last episode on thyroid and growth hormone, we talked about why your metabolism has slowed down and why your body's not repairing the way it used to. Today, we're going to finish the 10 hormone loop with the 2 hormones that started it all, the ones your doctor does check, but often doesn't address correctly. So estrogen and progesterone are the ones I'm talking about. And I'm going to show you why. I want to clear up something really important that most women have been told, because it's not entirely true. We hear that menopause is all about low estrogen, and that's not the whole story. Here's what we often miss. The issue is more about the estrogen that we're not clearing out of our system, and that's called estrogen dominance. And it can cause weight gain, bloating, mood swings, and inflammation, even when your levels test low. And progesterone, it drops to nearly 0 after menopause, and that's the hormone that was keeping you calm, helping you sleep deeply, and balancing out the estrogen's effects. So when progesterone disappears and your estrogen clearance slows down, you get hormone chaos, and you may know what I'm talking about. So let's start with estrogen. So estrogen influences your fat distribution, where your body stores fat. It also affects your insulin sensitivity, your fluid balance, your mood swings, and bone density. Now, before menopause, estrogen kept fat in your hips and thighs. And after menopause, that fat migrates straight to you know where, your belly. So when your estrogen is low, we often have an increased insulin sensitivity, meaning that the same level of carbs that used to be perfectly fine now cause blood sugar spikes and more fat storage. Another major fact about estrogen that has only recently been discovered and almost no one tests for is called the estrobolome, which is a specialized collection of gut bacteria that metabolizes and regulates the body's estrogen levels, playing a critical role in your hormone balance. Now, they have found that a compromised estrobolome is linked to postmenopausal weight gain, PCOS, infertility, endometriosis, cardiovascular issues, and the list goes on. So what can affect it is high carb, low protein diets, antibiotics, lack of exercise, poor sleep, all greatly influence the composition of this estrobolome. We're going to talk about how to fix this in a minute. So here's what research shows about estrogen shifting. A study in 2022 by the American Society of Microbiology found that a disturbed microbiome in postmenopausal women led to a greater incidence of cardiovascular disease. Another study published in the Journal of the National Cancer Institute in 2016 connected this estrogen microbiome to breast cancer. That is huge. So it's not a willpower problem, it's our biology. So ask yourself, Do I experience bloating, fluid retention, mood swings, irritability? Has my weight shifted into my belly since menopause? How about breast tenderness, hot flashes, palpitations? If you said yes to 2 or more of these, then estrogen imbalance is likely a part of your picture. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Just like adiponectin works alongside testosterone, progesterone works hand in hand with estrogen. So it's the calming counterbalance. And when that's gone, everything gets louder. So progesterone supports your deep restorative sleep. It reduces anxiety. It regulates your fluid balance. And think of it as your body's natural anti-anxiety pro-sleep hormone. Now, after menopause, it drops really low, near zero. And when progesterone disappears, here's the cascade. Your sleep gets lighter, more broken, your cortisol levels get higher, it drives cravings, belly fat, poor sleep, tanks your growth hormone, and recovery slows down, muscle maintenance drops. You get the picture, and we age faster. That's the bottom line. So even if you're trying to do everything right and the scale doesn't move and you feel worse, it's not you, it's this progesterone gap that no one is addressing and explaining. So studies show that women with disrupted sleep from low progesterone have significantly higher levels of ghrelin, the hunger hormone, and lower levels of leptin, the fullness hormone. So low progesterone doesn't just affect your sleep, it hijacks your entire hormonal appetite system. So let's talk about how to turn this estrogen-progesterone balance around naturally. And I want to be clear, you don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. You need to focus on these 4 areas: what you eat, how you move, how you restore, and one thing almost no one talks about is estrogenic foods. All right, number 1, starting with nutrition. So the single most important thing you can do for your estrogen balance is to increase fiber. Most of the women I see are eating far less fiber than they should be, 25 grams a day. And fiber helps your gut clear the excess estrogen from your body and helps balance that microbiome we talked about. Most women I work with have been eating far less, and without it, your estrogen can recirculate and you get that bloating, the weight gain, mood swings, even when your levels test low. And just when we're talking about that gut microbiome, that has a specific set of bacteria that controls how estrogen is processed. So fiber isn't just about digestion, it's about hormone detox. Then add in cruciferous vegetables, those smelly ones like cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts. These all contain natural compounds that support healthy estrogen metabolism. And then for progesterone, we're going to focus on magnesium-rich foods and supplements like pumpkin seeds and leafy greens, chickpeas, bananas, and salmon. These directly support your progesterone pathways. And for a healthy hormone balance of all your hormones, be sure you're getting enough protein at every meal. We recommend 30 grams for each meal, especially at breakfast, because this stabilizes your blood sugar, it supports muscle development, and keeps your entire hormonal cascade running smoothly. I also recommend limiting alcohol. I know that not everyone wants to hear that, but alcohol doesn't impair your estrogen clearance in the liver and disrupts deep sleep that progesterone depends on. So it's kind of a double whammy. Number 2, here's something that most doctors don't mention, is the estrogenic foods. And these are foods that contain natural estrogens called phytoestrogens. They gently support your estrogen balance without medication. And many cultures are very aware of this, like in the Japanese culture, they eat more soy. That is one of the estrogenic foods. Ground flaxseed, 1 to 2 tablespoons a day. Herbs like black cohosh and maca. So they work gently over time as part of your daily nutrition, and they give your body the raw materials to find its own balance. And for many women, this combined with lifestyle changes is enough. And if you want a complete list of the estrogenic foods and what they do, I'm going to put a link in the description and you can download that document. All right, number 3, for movement. 2 things matter the most in terms of hormone balance. Strength training 2 to 3 times a week improves your insulin sensitivity, supports estrogen metabolism, and preserves muscle that your metabolism depends on. Daily walking. Walking lowers your cortisol because high cortisol disrupts your estrogen and progesterone balance. So recommend 20 to 40 minutes, especially after meals is a great time. And that's one of the most powerful things that you can do for hormone balance. It's simple and it works. All right, one thing to avoid, intense workouts, especially late in the day at night, because these spike cortisol right when your body needs to be winding down, and that directly undermines progesterone's calming effect. Lastly, we need restoration, number 4. Natural progesterone and natural hormone balancing are most important because synthetic progestins carry greater cardiovascular and breast cancer risks than the natural sources. Deep sleep is when progesterone and growth hormone do their work. It's when your body repairs, when growth hormone is released, and when cortisol resets. So protect your sleep. 10-minute wind down routine before bed, darkening your room, screens off 30 to 60 minutes before sleep, keeping your room cool and dark, and practicing breath work before you go to bed is a very important way to calm down. We also recommend cutting caffeine 8 hours before bed. That one change alone can transform sleep quality. Even though some people tell me, you can sleep fine with caffeine, but it does disrupt your sleep, especially in postmenopause. So if your sleep is broken, every other hormone we've talked about in this entire series will suffer because sleep is the foundation. Now, I want to address something directly because I know many of you are either on HRT, considering it, or have been told you need it. So let me be clear. In severe cases, I absolutely support hormone replacement. If you're having debilitating hot flashes, severe night sweats, or symptoms that are significantly impacting your quality of life, HRT can be life-changing. I'm not anti-HRT, but what I see far too often in my practice is that women are put on HRT before they've had a chance to even look at their nutrition, their sleep, their stress, their gut, and critically, their progesterone balance. And all of that matters because many of the symptoms women are experiencing, the anxiety, the broken sleep, the bloating, the weight gain, are driven by the loss of progesterone, not just the drop in estrogen. And when you address progesterone through lifestyle, through sleep hygiene, stress management, magnesium, and the right foods, many women find significant relief without medication, or they find that a much lower dose of HRT is effective. So if you're on HRT and you're still struggling, that's a sign that the lifestyle piece is missing or the natural progesterone. And if you're considering HRT, I'd encourage you to give some of these options a trial for 4 to 6 weeks and see how well you do. Also great to get your levels tested with a deeper testing than blood tests. Dutch Complete Panel shows not only your hormone levels, but also how your body is processing them. Because the goal isn't just to add hormones in, the goal is to help your body find a balance. And for many women, that starts with progesterone and the foundations that we've covered today. So this program supports HRT, it doesn't replace it, but it also doesn't assume that you need it before you've given your body the tools to recalibrate on its own, which is really the most effective. So let me zoom out for a moment because this is not just about weight. I know that's an important thing to all of us, but estrogen is also one of the strongest protectors of bone density, cardiovascular health, and cognitive function. And when it's not balanced properly, your risk of developing osteoporosis, heart disease, cognitive decline all increase. And progesterone, deep sleep is when your body repairs tissue, consolidates memory, and releases growth hormone. Women who restore their sleep quality through natural progesterone support don't just lose weight, they report better skin elasticity, sharper thinking, less brain fog, and feeling years younger. So a study in Nature Aging in 2023 found that women with better insulin sensitivity, which estrogen directly supports, had biological ages 5 to 7 years younger than their actual age. So when you fix this estrogen and progesterone balance, you're not just losing weight, you're turning back the clock. And that's all the 10 hormones. We covered insulin, leptin, cortisol, ghrelin, thyroid, growth hormone, testosterone, adiponectin, estrogen, and progesterone. And every single one of them plays a role in why weight loss gets harder after 45. And every single one of them can be supported naturally and holistically. So if you want the full system, all 10 hormones, step-by-step guidance, tracking tools, meal plans, take the hormone quiz now. The link is in the description. It will show you your top 2 hormone imbalances in under 3 minutes. Then inside our Holistic Hormone School, you'll get the complete 10 hormone reset course and workbook, 8-week do-it-yourself roadmap, weekly tracking tools, monthly group coaching calls, and community support for $9 a month. Can't beat that. And if you're frustrated because you've really been working at this for a long time and you want to apply for our 12-week guaranteed program, we include the Dutch complete hormone testing, genetic testing, a full personalized diet and lifestyle plan. We basically do it all for you, all the supplements, everything included, and one-on-one coaching. That program will give you the fastest and most effective results. So subscribe and like this video so you don't miss any updates, and drop a comment below. Tell me which of the 10 hormones surprised you the most in this series. And thank you for being here. Namaste.